that are very similar in theme to our first presentation, but are really more on the eyes of the ground of what's happening in regards to generative artificial intelligence. Before I want to get started, I want to get a sense of the room today. First and foremost, how many of you have used, for more than very passing way, some sort of generative artificial intelligence tool? Okay, keeping your hands up, how many of you say you've used it regularly, like once a week or more? And how many of you would say that you're using it daily? Okay, great. That helps me give us some focus for today. So again, my name is Jason. I work for the Montana Digital Academy, which is Montana State Virtual School. We have offices right up there in this wing of the building. And our focus is K-12. We serve students across the state of Montana in supplemental distance learning courses, everything from AP biology to German in all corners of the state. This semester, we're serving about 3,500 students across 180 high schools. And I myself am a history teacher by training. I spent 13 years in the history and political science classroom. I've also taught some computer science, some debate, some speech, a little bit of newspaper production. But in my last 27 years, I have worked with students in all realms of age, everything from upper elementary gifted and talented to graduate students. And before I get started, I really want to make a point that I do not think that anything that is proposed or advertised as innovative and changing everything is likely to be innovative and change things, because our record over the past 30 years has been everything was supposed to change everything, and very rarely does it do that. One example I always use is the massively open online course model, or MOOCs, that were around, say 15 years ago. And I have noticed that online learning is a good example of this. It's supposed to be a disruptive technology. It's supposed to change everything. It's going to change K-12. It's going to change higher ed. And here we are in 2024. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing that it hasn't. It's just that we tend to focus on things a lot as the next big thing. But when I say this is the next big thing, I am actually going out of my way to talk to people about this technology, because this is different than almost anything else we've seen over the past 30 years, including, in a lot of ways, the internet itself. I have a lot of demonstration slides today, and I want to start off with maybe the most obvious, in that I'm going to make this image on my front slide larger for a moment. This image is not created by an artist. It's not created in Photoshop. It was not drawn. It is an image generated entirely by artificial intelligence. And I used a tool called Midjourney, which is considered to be one of the best-in-class tools. And like referred to earlier, there's kind of a programming language that goes into getting AI to do what you want it to do. In this particular case, I asked, with a so-called prompt, a futuristic classroom full of engaged students that are using smartphones, laptop computers, and desktop computers, and VR headsets, where an AI bot is the teacher, in the style of 1960s science fiction imagery. And it came up with this for me, which I think is really exactly what I asked for. A futuristic classroom. For some reason, a lot of these images come up darker, like the sun went away or something, as part of this process. But yet here we are, the future of the classroom. And it's not hard, once you kind of figure out the little bits of a generative AI tool, that you can generate many options. And so I have others today. Here's another future look at a future classroom, this time actual robots roving around the room. This one is also with AI. There's a lot of glass orbs, apparently, in the future as part of the design. There's another one, you'll notice an occasional glass orb in the background. Here's another piece with more robots and more headsets. Here's another one, again, glass orbs, once again, as part of this process. Another glass orb. There's a theme developing here. But I'm not limited to fictional looking images. If I want to create photography, or what probably passes at least initial glance at photography, I'm able to do that too. So this time it's the same prompt, but I'm adding the word photograph. And then I went off to the internet and found, how do I get photorealistic photos from Midjourney? And so I added some random stuff. I don't even know what this means. Canon EF 16-35mm f-stop something, 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 something. And as it turns out, it created something that vaguely comes off as a photograph, although again, no glass orbs, right? But here we go. This is a photograph. This is a photograph. This is a photograph. This is a photograph, or at least it looks like one for sure. One of the ways you can tell sometimes it's not a photograph is if you start to look at some of the details. For example, AI is uniquely terrible at drawing hands. And sometimes there will be a rogue finger there that you don't expect, or 9 fingers, or 1 finger, or something that is just very, very odd and strange. And the point I'm making about this is that it's these very powerful tools that we have at our fingertips. As a frequent presenter, I love putting in images in a presentation, but something I've started doing, and if you're in the infancy of starting to use these tools, I think you should do this too. We need to talk about when a tool is AI generated or something is AI generated, because I think it's important to share that with our audience as we start to adopt these tools. So today I have a lot of slides, a lot of images, but every time I've used a generative AI tool, you'll see this crudely created icon in either the bottom left or bottom right side of my slide, so you can see which of my images are AI generated and which ones are not.